All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming this morning. My name is Dion Waugh. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Boulder Police Department, DIONNEWAUGH. Chief Maris Harold of the Boulder Police Department is going to speak to you first. CHIEFMARISHEROLD. She's going to be followed by Deputy Chief Stephen Redfern, STEPHEN, and Randy Barber with Boulder Valley School District is going to speak after that, RANDYBARBER, and then we will take a few questions. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to Boulder Police Chief Maris Harold. Chief.
Thanks, Dion. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. I want to get this right for the community and for the parents of Boulder High School here. So this is really important. CU Dispatch Center, their non-emergency dispatch center, received a 911 call at approximately 8:33 this morning. I have listened to this 911 call. It is very scary. In the background, you can actually hear shots being fired. This prompted an emergency response by the Boulder Police Department and our command center protocol. So the way this call came in really was authentic to make you believe that we had a real active shooter in the front of the school at Boulder High School. We had a tremendous response from all of our partners across the county, including Boulder Valley High School security teams, our federal partners, and county fire, and obviously Boulder Fire Department. We immediately sent in contact teams to the school. Our officers arrived on the scene within 3 minutes. We had contact teams within the school. They cleared the entire school within short order, and we also had canine teams on scene because there were reports of also possible bombs located within the school. We also know that there has been numerous calls like this across the state of Colorado, and our federal partners are actively investigating those calls across the state. And obviously, the Boulder PD investigative team is investigating that in our alignment with the FBI. I want to stress that I know how scary this is for the Boulder community, and especially the students and parents of the kids impacted by this type of call. I want to report that there are no injuries. Everyone is safe and out of the school at this time, and that we've set up command posts to make sure the kids are and the students are properly relayed to their parents and their loved ones. And so with that, I am more than happy to answer any questions. I have Deputy Chief Redfern, who's been in command of this situation since 8:33 this morning here as well. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you all have.
Chief, can you describe what that phone call sounded like again?
We had a caller relay that he was out in front of Boulder High School. He had semi-automatic weapons and that he was prepared to go into the high school. And shortly thereafter, there was active shooting, very realistic gun sounds in the background.
And Chief, do you know if the other agencies that received similar calls, do they have that same dramatic effect to them, if you will?
I do not know that at this time. We are in contact. The FBI is actually here on scene, and they're putting all this together from across the state. I don't know exactly what type of information was relayed to the other schools at this time.
Chief, was there evidence that the person who made this initial call was ever at the high school?
We have no evidence to suggest that. But like I said, the caller, when he did call, said he was out front of the Boulder High School and was prepared to go in.
You're searching for him?
I'm sorry. I don't have exact numbers, but we're talking, I think the school was on a delay this morning, so we didn't have as many students as we would normally, but I'm thinking over 200 students have been evacuated at this time.
Chief, could you just give us a description of the process of what your people did to clear the school?
Yeah, obviously when we receive a call like that, it's all hands on deck. And like I said, we got there within 3 minutes, and we had contact teams, which are groups of 3 to 4 officers get together and make a dynamic entry into the school. We made contact with the security system, security personnel at Boulder High School, and obviously they have to go systematically through every room, every floor, to make contacts with kids and make sure they get them out safely. So it's a long process, but we did it right, and I'm proud of the response of all of our partners in the Boulder Police Department. Obviously, this is the scariest kind of call, a 911 call you can get, especially when you look across the country and you see how many of these shootings are occurring. And so, very scary call.
Chief, is there any evidence of bullet shots or anything?
We have no evidence of that at all.
Chief, when officers arrived at the school, did students and teachers inside know that there was a threat, or was that the first indication that something was wrong?
Our contact team made quick contact with their security personnel and indicated, are you hearing shots? Do we have any evidence of an active shooter at that time? And so that's exactly what they do. That's the protocol.
This may be premature, but is it possible to tell whether this phone call that you received is coming from the same person and he or she made the same call, one person making the same call to all the agencies, about all the schools?
Yeah, I wish I had more information on that. They are tracking that down right now. It appears, though, that within short order, schools across the state of Colorado received a call.
In short order, all about the same time?
I can't say all about the same time, but I can tell you that it seems like it was a systematic way of calling schools.
Chief, can you describe again the call? You said it was a male, female who called.
It sounded to me, and obviously we'll have criminalistics listen to this call. It sounded to me to be a male caller, but like I said, I could be wrong once criminalistics starts listening to that tape.
Chief, on that same point, because we've heard other districts having these calls, some others have reported that the person may have had an accent. Did you hear any indication of an accent at all?
I really couldn't discern if it was an accident or not.
Chief, can you tell us about the state of some of the students and staff? I mean, you said it's scary calls coming in. What were they kind of like when those contact teams showed up?
I have not seen personally the students, but put yourself in this situation. It's just a terrible situation to put students into, and very scary for parents involved and the community at large. So I just can't imagine being a student and seeing police go door to door. I just want to emphasize that to the community, quick response. I'm proud of the response. We got in there with contact teams and cleared the building as quickly as possible.
There was another, 2 days ago, there was another incident nearby in the hotel, another shooter. I mean, this is happening too often. Is this related, separate?
This is a totally separate incident, but another scary incident, you're right.
At this point, you want to call this a hoax? Is this a hoax call?
I don't want to call it a hoax until I meet personally with the federal partners that we have, and we'll be putting something out as soon as information comes out. I don't want to call it anything right now until I have confirmation after I talk to the FBI.
Why was the call routed to CU instead of Boulder?
It's a good question, and we don't know at this time, but it did come into CU's dispatch system.
But
Not
again, they said the activity was at Boulder.
yes.
Chief, the shelter-in-place orders that were issued earlier this morning, are they still in effect?
No, we've released. We still have an ongoing investigation. We still have canines in the area, but we have released and lifted the lockdown.
Chief, are you actively tracking the suspect who made the call?
Actively, I can't say at this time. That's an ongoing investigation.
Or is the person of interest?
Would you have the ability to trace the call from dispatch where it came in?
I have a lot of abilities, but I just can't say right now until I talk to the FBI.
And if this is indeed a hoax, how serious, in your professional opinion, is a crime? Like
I think this is so serious. I think I just, in my wildest imagination, I cannot imagine doing this to people. It is very serious, and I guarantee you that our federal partners and the Boulder Police Department will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. And guys, that's all I have time for. If you have any tactical questions, Deputy Chief Redfern is right behind me.
And we do have Randy from the school system
Thank you, Chief.
as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Chief.
Get some gloves.
Thank you.
You got any other questions for Deputy Chief Redfern on the specifics? Well, we have Randy from the school district.
Deputy Chief, do you mind walking us through the timeline a little bit?
Absolutely. So preliminarily, around 8:33 is when we were notified of the call. There was a very short delay because it came into CU first and then was routed to our dispatch center very quickly. Our first officers, all on-duty personnel, detectives, everybody that was on duty responded. Our officer was there within 3 minutes inside the school making contact. Very quickly, we had the school locked down on the perimeter. We had traffic positions blocked and a bunch of officers inside the school. The first thing they tried to do was determine if there were actually anyone was injured or any shots were still being fired. That was very quickly determined that it was quiet, there weren't any shots. And so we kind of were able to slow it down just a little bit at that point and make it more of a slower, methodical scene. But because of the nature of the call, we still had to go through all of the normal steps and protocols that we would go through on any active shooter. And that includes what we're still doing now in the school with bomb detection dogs, just to be very safe that when we turn the school back over to the school district, there are absolutely no threats.
Did you find any strange package with the K9 or no?
So there were items in the school like backpacks that were discarded by students, and we used the K9 to sniff those to make sure that there weren't any hazardous items. So that's why it takes a while.
Was the security on at the school, was that a resource officer? Was it a police officer?
No, the Boulder Valley School District does not have school resource officers.
Chief, what was the reaction from students as officers arrived in the school?
So students were, the school, and I don't know exactly what was communicated, but it was communicated with the students that they needed to shelter in place, for lack of a better term. I know there might be another term that was used. However, the majority of the students were obviously extremely frightened. We do have resources for those students at the location where they've been bused to reunite with their parents.
What were the students in the school notified of?
I don't have the specifics. I wasn't there when that happened. They were whatever the school district protocol is, and maybe they can speak to that a little better. But basically, there's an active threat, and you need to shelter in place, something along those lines.
How long will the shelter in place order? How long will it last?
So we kept this shelter in place order in a general vicinity that we sent out for a good hour and a half, because it took us time to go through every room in the school to really ensure there wasn't a threat.
So it is off right now?
It is off. It was taken off probably about 20 minutes ago. All right. Do you have questions for the school district?
I'd like to actually first begin by thanking our first responders. They responded very quickly, very professionally to this situation, making sure that our students and staff were safe at the school. I do have some information to share. We take all threats seriously at the Boulder Valley School District. When notified about the situation today, we immediately enacted what's called the lockdown. As most of us have heard, it's locks, lights out of sight. So everyone is encouraged to come into a classroom, into a place that they can close and lock the door, turn off the lights, and be as quiet as possible. That's a normal protocol for an active shooter type of situation. We did send out immediately information to parents and staff of the school, parents, letting them know about the lockdown so that they could take action. This was a late start day for us. On Wednesdays we have late start, and so the school is scheduled to be open at 9:35 a.m. So we were able to let most parents and students know prior to arriving at the school what was going on, so they were able to avoid being here. We did have some students that were here for before school activities, including athletics and things like our orchestra, that kind of thing. And so we had approximately 198 people total that were evacuated from school once the lockdown was completed. They were taken by bus to CU, and I also want to thank CU for their partnership with us. The reunification site was Mackey Auditorium, so parents were encouraged to come there to show identification to be able to pick up their students. I'm hearing from my staff that is going very, very well. We have very few students that are left there at this point. That check-in has gone very smoothly. I will also mention that during a situation like this, we do have buses that are transporting students. Those buses are given the command to not come to the school during that time, and so they are kind of held away from the school. Once the situation sort of determined that we were going to do the reunification, they were then also sent over to Mackey, so they were being reunified as well. Just to kind of give you an idea of numbers, we know that about 60 to 70 students were at the school, and in that lockdown, we've got as many as 200 students that might have been being transported, so I don't have a firm number on that, but there were quite a few students that might have been impacted by being on a bus. The total school enrollment is 2,025 students, and we've got about 100 or so staff members there. And We also just want to say that we recognize, given everything that the city has been through, that this could be a very traumatic situation for everyone involved, but especially our students. We've activated the district trauma team. That means that we have a team of counselors, grief counselors from other schools that will be working to support the students both here at Boulder High School, but also at other schools. Again, we recognize that just even the news coverage of this, let alone being in the school when something like this happens, can be quite traumatic. So there will be help for mental support for students that need that help as well.
How often do you drill lockdown procedures at the high school?
Every school is expected to run it once a semester, and so a school like Boulder High School would be running it once this semester and once last semester.
Do you know if they've already done it this semester?
I'm not sure. I can check on that for you.
Randy, when we make a decision about tomorrow, if that hasn't been made already?
I haven't heard about tomorrow. We know for sure that the school will be closed for the remainder of the day. I'm checking also on after-school activities, but I would expect that those will likely be canceled.
What's been the reaction from teachers and students?
We haven't had an opportunity to talk to a lot of them at this point. We've been focused on ensuring that information is going out to them. I think that up to this point, what we've heard is that they're thankful for the information. I think, as the chief said, this is a horrific situation. It's the worst fear that most parents, most students have. It's something, unfortunately, that they think about because of the other incidents that have happened around the country. And so we know that everyone is reacting in that sort of way. But overall, what we've heard so far is at least thankful that we've had a good response to it.
What was the sequence of events this morning and the time that transpired between the call coming into the CU dispatcher and the alert going out, the first alert going out to parents?
I don't know specifics. I do know that as soon as we received word, and I think as police were saying here, that they immediately called the school. At that point, we were notified about the possibility of a threat, and so the action was taken immediately. But I don't know in terms of minutes and seconds, that kind of thing.
Does Boulder High have security cameras inside and outside campus?
We do, yes, in public areas inside, but also around the campus on the outside.
Deputy Chief, one more question for you.
Sure.
Sir, you said the call came to CU dispatch. Is that unusual, or if a 911 call was made in this area, would that be where it was routed?
Sure, it's a great question. To the best of my knowledge, it was not a 911 call. If it was a 911 call, it would have been routed to Boulder Police Dispatch. I believe, based on the information I have, it came into a non-emergency line
A non-emergency line for the university?
for the Colorado University Police Department.
There's no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I did just find out that activities and all after-school activities for the school are canceled today. Just Boulder High School, though.
Hey, I'm sorry, you